Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just welcome everybody. Kamari and Managopal are going to take the lead on the presentation tonight as the two co-directors. Want to welcome Jai Govinda. Can't see Jai Govinda, but I know he's there. His name is there. And Briham Dungapu, and we have Matura Lileshwari is with us. And we have a powerful twosome, right? And for me, it's right in the center of the screen. Sanjay Prabhu and Sham Mohini. Sham Mohini is actually taking the course, the communications course right now. And we were on the call together, just a few days ago with the group, a bunch of the students. We do a call in the morning, a call in evening once after the second week, and then again after
Yes.
the fifth week. So really good that she's participating in that. And I was just thinking, I just went out, took a stroll just before the conference call, and I was thinking maybe just share one quick thought before I turn it over to Manungo Paul and Kumari Kunti. I'm remembering when I first started doing communications work, I was a fairly young devotee and was becoming really convinced that we have wonderful gifts to offer the world. Our books, our culture, our art, our music, our philosophy, Srila Prabhupada, our understanding of Krishna. And somehow or other, especially then, and still to some extent for sure today, now, people don't really understand who we are. They don't understand what we have to offer. Oftentimes, they don't appreciate what we have to offer. Either we tend to be kind of unknown or sometimes misknown. There's a few countries around the world. Hungary is an exception. India is quite better. The UK is pretty good, but in America, Canada, and the United States, we're not so well known and not as well appreciated as we should be. So I was really inspired to try to get involved in communications work to try to help people better understand who we are, because it's kind of like you're giving away gold and people are walking by in the street and they don't know what it is, or you packaged it poorly, or you slipped and you actually hit somebody over the head with a bag of gold last week. And the rumors out there in the streets that this guy hits everybody over the head with a bag of gold, and you're trying to recreate recreate that image in people's minds. So that's a big part of what we do, and that gets back to then understanding who are those key audiences who can help us carry forward our mission, and who are those people that we need to try to communicate with so they can better understand who we are and what are the positive contributions we can make. And then, of course, to be open to all those people about how we can do better, to hear from the neighbors how we can be better neighbors, and to hear from scholars how we can better present our tradition in a scholarly format, and hear from politicians how they need help and how they can help us and how we can partner together on things of shared interest. So I kind of feel like the second 50 years of the Hare Krishna movement is going to be uh, even more exciting than the first 50. And I think a big part of that is going to be dependent on how we go out and help people connect with people, both internal, our own communities and our own congregations, but especially, connecting with people on the outside who don't know who we are, don't know what we have to offer. And I think as more and more people start to understand what we do present and what the gifts we have to share, there's going to be a slowly building avalanche of appreciation. So that's kind of our role, to help build that avalanche of appreciation. And simultaneously, and I'll end with this, we're also, I remember going to some Religion Communicators Council conferences a few years ago, and one Baptist friend explained it real nicely. He said, we're meant to be both the cheerleaders and to some extent the conscience of the organization. We're cheering everybody on, but then we're also supposed to go back now and then say, we have a problem. They think it's really good. We're so devoted the way we offer fresh flowers every day on our altars, but they're not really comfortable with the way we cut down their personal flower gardens, jumping the fence in the morning. That doesn't go so well. So maybe we need to adjust that a little bit, and other examples that are there. So those are kind of our two roles, to help communicate to the outside world and to bring the information in, and of course to help enhance communications within our communities. So it's a really important opportunity and important service, and I'm really glad to be part of this team. And I look forward to hearing Managopal and Kumari Kunti's presentations tonight. All
Thank you,
right.
Prabhu. Thank you, Haribo. And thank you, dear devotees, for joining. So, this evening we'll be focusing on media relations. We did start on that topic the last time, and we feel it's one of the most important, one of the more important, more visible services that we do as communications devotees. And what I've learned is that it's not that difficult to do, um, but it's good to learn how to do it right and to make the best use of what best practices that have been developed over the years. Um, and so we'll use some of our resources. One is the starter kit that we shared the last time, and the other is the student handbook from the course, the communications course that Shyam Mohini Maharaj is taking right now, and other devotees. Many of us have taken that course in the past. So that sort of thing, right? So we'll focus on best practices of writing a media release. We have a very seasoned media person with us as well. Mathura Lileshwari has done some fantastic work with the media throughout her career, and recently, last year, she did a very successful media outreach in the middle of COVID, in the middle of nowhere. Sorry, I don't mean to be offensive, but Harrisburg is not that famous.
That's a New Jersey bias against Pennsylvania. I just have to weigh in on that. I'm not just
Pennsylvania is my favorite state. Okay, I was a member of Gitanagari for a long time, but yes, Harrisburg unfortunately is not as famous throughout the three worlds as say, some other cities.
Not yet.
But a very wonderful media outreach was done last year, and we had the TV people come, and Mathura Lileshwari welcomed them nicely, and then nice program was put, and a lot of people saw that. It was really nice. Okay, very successful media outreach. So, and it's very powerful. Even in a small place like Harrisburg, you can touch so many lives. Krishna's holy name, recognition that we are a very bona fide movement. We are there, and people, oh my God, ISKCON was here in Harrisburg. I have to go check them out. Because it's free advertising for us. So it's a win-win for everybody. And the media people are excited because they get to cover something different from their regular boring pastel stuff. You go to a Hare Krishna program, it's so colorful, beautiful, and they're feeling ecstatic and they don't even know why. So it's like it's win-win for us. We give them great content that's different from the regular content, and everybody's happy all around, and all the souls are uplifted. So there's actually, believe it or not, there's nectar in this seva. So nectar, you feel ecstatic that by doing a little bit of effort, you touched so many lives. So let's get right into it, and then after that, we'll do a hands-on exercise where Kumari Kunti will lead us on actually building up a media list. So what is a media list, a media contact list, and things like that. And we will, we'll do one for Orlando with Madanga Prabhu. We'll do one in Milton, Ontario with Shyam Mohini and Sanjay Prabhu and Jai Govinda Prabhu. I'm not sure which area you're in, but we can also do one. Let's see. So we'll see how much we can get done, all right? So we'll dive right into it. Kumari Kunti has shared the Media Starter Kit files. The link is on the chat. So if you'd like, you can save that link and download those Starter Kit files if you haven't already done so. And I'll start with the Starter Kit. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. There's that. Starter Kit, Media Relations. All right. Share screen. Okay, so you can see the screen, right? So this is part of the starter kit. It's the left side of the starter kit. This page is the media relations, and then we'll go to the right side later. Okay, so what is our responsibility or our service as a media relations person? So the main thing is that we will be the liaison or the bridge between ISKCON and the media landscape. So as part of that, we want to build bridges and develop relationships, at least contacts. So first thing is, what are the major media outlets like TV, print, radio, and also there's online kind of media, the social media. Then there's also special focus on South Asian media presence. They tend to take a special interest, especially Indian type of media outlets. And this is definitely a real thing in New Jersey. It's huge. And are there any local dedicated religion reporters? Because you will find in some newspapers they tend to focus on a particular subject and they're specialists, and it'll be nice to have one of those. They're always very excited to learn about another angle on religion being practiced in that area. And of course, talk about social media. So some tips and tricks. Write a media release, and we'll talk about how to write a media release, best practices. Then of course you want to, part of that is how you organize your thoughts, and you don't want to put too many things in there. So you want three main points, you convey them early. So this is general guidelines. Obviously you want to maintain a positive, friendly demeanor, and when they ask questions, you want to avoid no comment. Don't say no comment. That no comment is a comment, and there's a lot of it, it's very heavy, because people wonder why you avoiding this thing, and they want to dig deeper. So it's better to be prepared for all kinds of questions, unless it's something we've discussed in this heavy legal and ethical matter. Avoid that. And of course, no such thing as off the record. Sometimes they say, hey, off the record, by the way, what is your opinion on this? Everything is on the record. Everything we say, we write. Just assume that it's going to be in the newspaper. All right. And as always, if you've taken the course, you know this Mahamantra of ISKCON communications: needs, interests, and concerns. Always understand the person you're dealing with or the organization we're dealing with, what are their needs, interests, and concerns. Try to put ourselves in their shoes, and think, oh, if we can, if we get a good feel for what they need, what they're interested in, what they're concerned about, then we will give them the same material, but in the format, in the language that they can understand, they can digest, they can spread, and it does world of wonders the more we get better at this. So we have a little checklist here: research local media scene, and we'll do that hands-on today. Another thing, that let's look at our whole year, whole calendar for ISKCON of our particular branch. What are the main festivals and events that we want to cover? And then we can plan how do we want to publicize them, and then maybe we can train, or we can become a local person who is the designated spokesperson. So when the media people come, make sure everybody in the temple knows that's the person. So when the media people come, we can point to that. And then dive into social media. And of course, you can always contact us, and three of us, for any kind of assistance if you need help. All right. Now I'm gonna just share another screen. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to cut off. I'm just wondering if we could do one example of a needs, interest, and concern for, a media. Say we're sending it to a Western media. What's a needs, interest, and concern for Gorpernine? If we want to brainstorm that, because even I was like, oh yeah, I got to think about what do they want. Sometimes it's vague. Sometimes it's it's abstract, not necessarily vague, but it's abstract. It's more in theory. So maybe we could brainstorm that together. A little interactive activity here.
Yeah, let's talk about that, at least a little bit. So suppose I am a reporter for a local newspaper, in Orlando, for example, right? And I will be writing an article, maybe a full color spread in the Sunday magazine that goes out with the newspaper. What is my needs, interests, and concerns? So one thing is that I want to create a story that a lot of people don't know about, but will find interesting to read. I want to be able to put a headline that'll catch someone's attention. I want to be able to include some nice photographs and interesting angles, so that something that people will be interested to buy the paper and read about it. I want to see if that can be tied, whatever the group that I'm going to be talking to, if what all they do. What about something controversial? Not controversial. What is it? Something exotic about them? Because of course they're not.
Yeah.
I want to put something in there that a lot of people will be eager to know, but it's not well known. So I'll be asking those kind of questions. What makes you different? So we should be ready to answer from their angle. When they ask us questions, what makes you different from other religious groups? What makes you different from other, even Hindu groups? Are you Hindu? Those are kind of some of those are questions that they'll come up with. And if we can have prepared, so if you can anticipate some of these questions and prepare very thought-provoking answers, they'll be happy, they'll be excited to write them. Go, wow, I just asked them what makes it different from other Hindus, but then they went, they explained that how Hinduism, the background of Hinduism, it's so rich, and sometimes from one angle they're not really Hindus, but then Hinduism itself is there's a lot of misconceptions about it, but it's a very ancient religion, and There's certain things about caste system that people thought was part of Hinduism, but or that it's many gods, but it turns out it's a monotheistic thing. So if we have something that breaks some of the prior judgments that they might have, breaks their stereotypical understanding, it makes the guy more excited, or the journalist more excited to write about it. Wow, this is, most people think Hinduism is this, but it's actually not. And so that sort of thing, right? If we're well prepared for those kind of questions, then they'll be happy to put our message. And then, of course, message of love, universality, respect for other religions. Srila Prabhupada embodied all that. So we just have to represent Prabhupada well. We are not an exclusive religion in the sense that, all other religions are wrong, we're the only right one. Because some religions do have that, but Srila Prabhupada never taught us that. And so if we represent Srila Prabhupada well, in general, always we will come out shining, so we should be prepared for that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if in the group for Gaur Purnima specifically, because the point of this today's call and then the following one right leading up to Gaur Purnima, we're going to have everyone push their boundaries, and I'm going to send out a press release for Gaur Purnima for your centers to either not necessarily invite them because no one's coming, but tell them about the event, tell them what we usually do, tell them maybe what's happening in lieu of, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe some needs, interests, concerns from everyone. If everyone can come up, there's no wrong answers. We're just brainstorming here. It's a way that you can approach confidently those media outlets, thinking if they ask you, why do I care? Which they may, they tend to be very blunt people. It's in the nature. They might say, why would I care about this? You might have an answer ready. So should we do that? You gave us like 5, more broad. So let's look at Gaur Purnima, although it's all kind of intertwined. I can start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just so everyone else can have a second to catch up. So you talked about the principles. I would say for representing Toronto, we've been around for X amount of years. I actually don't know the answer to that, but I could look it up quickly. We've been around that long, and we're one of the leading Hindu and Vaishnava temples in the city. Simple. That's a needs, interest, concern. We represent Hindus for the city. Simple. Next, who wants to go next?
I think for Gaur Purnima, I would say that we are celebrating our new year. So that would probably gain some interest.
That's why she's our media relations person.
Yes, something that they can relate to, that this is their new year. And actually, a lot of our ISKCON devotees don't even know that actually Gaur Purnima is our new year. But
you reminded me, thank you. Yes,
era is
perfect. That's a great angle, right? It's like Chinese New Year's. This is Vaishnava New Year, Gaudiya Vaishnava New Year, right? It's a good angle. Yep.
There's a Jewish New Year, right? Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year.
Everyone's got one. Yeah, great. Okay, someone else. No wrong answers, please. Someone else.
For Gaur Purnima, we also have another angle that Holi happens to be on the same day. So it's the most colorful festival of the year, and it celebrates the victory of devotion over evil, because Prahlad Maharaj and Holika, that event took place on that same day. So, but that's known for among the Indians mostly. We don't celebrate that so much on the ISKCON side. But the newspaper might be, especially if it's a South Asian newspaper, they're like, "What? You didn't even mention Holi. This is the day of Holi." So I think if it's a South Asian paper or a reporter, we should definitely make that a point.
Yeah, and worth noting is a lot of temples, as many know, use Holi as a great external event for that they use to gather people at the temple, because people do know about Holi more than Gaur Purnima, right? Okay, we have a few more people. I'm going to call Brihat Mridanga. We're throwing you in the deep end. Go for it.
I was thinking that this is a day that we celebrate inclusivity. That this tradition of chanting the names of God is for everyone.
Right. We'll celebrate. That's a great point, definitely, because yeah, the universality, and it's open to everybody regardless of birth or caste or color or race or background, nationality. And that was promoted so much by the incarnation or the personality who we're celebrating, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right.
Especially if you throw in
Perfect.
a little phrase like, which is so very much needed in the world today.
Mhm.
And then you've linked it to the whole, pulse of the country.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great we have a Dunga Proof.
Yeah. And so just so you're not scared, we are going to send a press release template, which will have a lot of this content in there. I guess we're just thinking, so when you come in prepared mentally, like if they ask me, why is this important? Or if they get an email back, okay, or you meet them in person by chance this year, you'll feel a little confident with a little bit of a background there. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
A few more people. Let's
Any other
do it.
thoughts?
Shyam Mohini and Sanjay, you can come up with one just because you or two if you like.
Festival, yeah. Festival actually is depiction of positivity and required a lot during these COVID times. And bringing people, though virtually, if not personally, we are still celebrating, and we're hopeful about a better and a beautiful future.
Nice. Yeah. Especially if you tie it with COVID, and that's something everyone's mind right now. That's great. It's always good to tie in with what's on people's mind. What's on people's mind these days? A lot of political surcharge. People are feeling divided. So then this unification thing is nice. Inclusivity is wonderful. Hope and positivity in times of uncertainty, where what's going to happen. COVID has been around for so long now. That sort of thing. Those are great points, and tying it in with the actual incarnation or the day we're celebrating, Appearance Day.
Is
Great.
Jagavinda available? Should we call him in, or we can move on?
Oh, I'm here.
Hi, Haribol, please join us.
Playing off the back of one of the other ones. In some places, to answer your first question, I'm in Vancouver, Canada, West Coast.
Canada. Sorry, we're really Canadian teams right now.
Heavy representation.
I don't know what to say. Haribol.
In some places, Vancouver being one of them, the term kirtan is a very popular term. It's becoming a buzzword. So Gaura Purnim, you could use the birth of kirtan, 500 years plus, something
Perfect.
like that.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. I can send this list, if you weren't taking notes, everyone, to everybody when we get to that next exercise next time, because there's like 6 really good angles and kind of surcharge on why people should care, why it's interesting for the media. So great. Okay, I'll stop interrupting when Uncle Paul can continue now.
That's great. Okay, so we have this nice material for the template, and we can add that into the template. And then the template can be such that you can pick and choose what we want, or you can include everything, and then you just have to fill in certain blanks. It's the address of our temple, and this is the dates and time we're celebrating. That's the only difference. Okay, so the releases should have specifics, so just guidelines. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Make sure we answer these. And like we mentioned, we want to know who the audience is, what are their needs, interests, and concerns, not just the needs, interests, and concerns of the journalists, but also the people who'll be reading it, right? So you have to think in both. Maybe journalists will just put it in there, not realizing how excited the public is going to be about reading it. And then, of course, what is your core message, the key message we want to put out there? The details that we need, of course, your contact phone, they should be there for sure. Remember, this is a standard thing we send to the media people. They are not asking us for it, we are pushing it to them. All right, so we have to make sure we have standard press release information. So subject line has to be attention grabbing. The more attention grabbing we have a subject and headlines, the more likely they will be to publish it. And same thing, the opening sentence, we don't want to bury your main message and main punchline way at the end, right? We want to put it in the opening sentences. And then you make your 2 or 3 main points in the body. Quotes are very, very powerful. Quotes are great, especially, if it's somebody everybody recognizes, it's always nice to put in there. And definitely you don't want to make a 5-page release. It's 1 page, and at most 2 pages, double-spaced sentences. And then you send via email. And then you can also send it again if they haven't. So you send it like a month in advance of your festival, and then you send it again a week in advance and follow up with a phone call. That's the general pattern. This is one example of a press release we did many years ago, Vegetarian Society. You can just kind of see, right? This is just one example. So you have a headline there, campaign launched to end the carbon filters, and then their announcement, the main message, and it's not much bigger than just a few paragraphs. And then you can.
Why don't you go, Paul? Read that first paragraph because it just gives an idea of how
Sure.
they were catching people's attention.
Yeah, yeah. So this is the campaign. The Vegetarian Society today announced the launch of an advertising campaign designed to pressurize Yorkshire water into ending the use of cattle bones in its water filters. With new research findings indicating that the BSE agent may also be found in bone marrow, the society believes a ban on their use is now essential. So it becomes very clear what.
Just read that next quote. Read the next quote. It's really powerful.
Yeah. The Vegetarian Society advertisement to be placed in regional press in the affected areas reads, in some parts of the world, dead cows can end up in the drinking water. In some parts of Yorkshire, they're put there. So this is a powerful.
How's that for grabbing your attention, huh?
Really grabs them, you know. It's like a pretty powerful point. The advertisement will first appear on 12th December to coincide Yorkshire's waters, board of directors, etc. So you can see the length of it. Doesn't have to be much longer than this. I mean, for Gaur Purnima, it can be a little bit more. This is another example. When Kazakhstan, if you remember, that the government was bulldozing Hindu homes, the homes of our devotees. And so this was a very painful episode in our movement, how they're really being persecuted. And this sort of thing is catchy. I mean, people do want to hear about what all oppression is going on around the world, right? And we definitely, our main reason is to let people know. And also when Kazakhstan people read this, they're like, oh man, we really shouldn't have done that, you know. These guys, they do fight back, and this is one of the ways. So you can see this one, and like, for example, this is a quote, I have no words to describe what I've seen, said Nina Fokina, head of the Almaty Helsinki Committee, International Human Rights Organization. Look at that, right? I mean, you're putting in quotes from very important people, human rights organizations, and so on. And then you put in your information there, all right? So this is just a couple of examples and some best practices on writing press releases. Okay, so now, say we write a press release. Who are we going to share this with? Who are the press people? Who are the media? So that is the next part. So we'll get right into it because we only have another, 22 minutes or so. So we've gone through about more than halfway the time. I'll pass it on to Kumari.
So if we go back to this, I printed it out, but it's just.
Yeah, I'll open that. I have it.
The media starter kit. So we're just going through the process of this. So we don't expect anyone to be great writers other than Mathura Lileshwari, who is that, professionally. So that's what we want to, spoon feed you a bit. We're going to have a template for you, which I have yet to make, which we'll have for next call. So we're going to work on it together. It's going to be like what you just saw, 4 or 5 paragraphs, and we're going to fill in the blanks maybe together for your individual centers. And what we do, and we've said this before, just a reminder, we have already quite a few, but maybe by Gaur Purnima, because it's an auspicious day, we'll have all the major festivals that we want to make sure we are promoting templates for. So it means it's something you can go back to year after year and edit and adjust and, move around a bit and send out is the idea. Because we don't expect everyone to be able to write press releases. That's a skill that might just, it might scare you and might make you feel this is too hard for me. I can't do communications work if they have me writing to do all this work. So we're trying to help encourage everyone, because at the end of the day, if you make relationships in the media, you can send them things which may not be up to their par. They will get back to you because they already know who you are. And that's a little bit how the world works. So we're just trying to get people's foot in the door, and then we hope your smiling face can take it the rest of the way, is the way we figure. Okay, so the next step was the writing the release, which we're going to do third instead of second. The second step is build your media list. And the third, write it and then make sure somebody is there in case the media call. So Mathura Lileshwari, maybe you'll share with us at the end if you wanted to, or next time, about when they called you, how that unfolded, because I'm also curious when the media called you on the Diwali event, I believe it was. So the media list, you can see here, It's beautifully done. There's already a little screenshot of what your Excel document should look like. Has a media name, website, phone, email, name, contact person, email. I mean, that's a really simple version and that works. I wanted to open it. What we thought we would do is either we're going to do this one together and then everyone break off and do their individuals, or we'll do some ones together. I feel like we should do.
I think we're too small of a group to do any breakout sessions, so we'll just do them together.
So we could start
Yeah. So
with somebody's
right.
or my own, and we could help you build it together is the idea with 10 minutes. Mm-hmm.
How about Orlando?
Yeah, you're here, we're gonna throw you in. We can help you build your media list, at least something. These are always growing and changing. They never stay. Every year you have to kind of update. It's just the way it works. But we could at least get some things in there for you. So let us, if you start with this template, I have a template myself already set up, just a Excel, actually a Google Excel, Google, what do they call it? Sorry. A Google Sheet is called, because then it's saved in my drive and, I don't lose it in the long term. I was going to share my screen.
Okay. We'll share it.
But I don't know if my screen's going to share. That's why I sent it to you, because my permissions are being weird with my Mac still.
Okay. So what are we doing now? Sorry.
I have a screen. If you screen share, I can type in it and it will show up on yours.
Just going to do a Google search to find some media down there.
Exactly.
Doing Orlando. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share. Let me see. Stop share here. I actually just started something right over here. So I just Googled Orlando newspapers. Start somewhere.
Yep, exactly.
All right. And so now we see this Orlando Sentinel, El Sentinel, Orlando Weekly. So say Orlando Sentinel is probably the most prominent Orlando newspaper, right? So we click on it here. And then there's a contact us. I saw contact us somewhere. All right. So I don't have to, you have to enable ads. Some of these you have to enable ads. Sorry. Right. So you go there, and usually they have their contact section at the bottom. Contact us. There you go. So this is customer service, but you don't want customer service. You want to find advertising, reader reaction, newsroom.
So we have a newsroom directory, which will pull up the major management and the staff, it says here. You're looking at what I'm looking at.
All right.
So we have editor-in-chief, managing editor. You have content, that's more media, reporters. Let's see if we have any religion reporters or feature reporters list. Otherwise, so this is interesting. Every newspaper does deal with this however they want to deal with it. There isn't exactly a set way. If they list their titles specifically based on their beat, as we call it, right? So if they do religion or politics or whatever. So this one's not as clearly beat related. It has sports, and that's kind of it for telling us what they do.
This is nice. Like, say if it's not clear, then you can take a guess. That's not like an educated guess, right? For example, content director would be a good idea. Things to do and visual. So maybe this might be, hey, things to do in Orlando, other than Disney World, is the ISKCON Center.
Yeah. Maybe not this year, but generally speaking, yeah.
One thing you can do sometimes too is go back and just go in the content and type in like religion or faith or something like that. And if you see Mary Smith comes up 3 out of 6 articles, there's a good chance Mary Smith's your contact.
She's your beat. She's the beat reporter, exactly.
If that's not there, then either have like sometimes they call it a city desk reporter or editor, or you just phone them up and you say, hey, I'm Bria Madunga from the Krishna Hindu temple. I'm just wondering who's covering religion, and they'll put you on hold. And sometimes you got to be ready because they'll come back and say, just a minute. And then somebody picks up the phone. Hello, Jones. And you're talking to the religion reporter. So
Yeah.
anticipate that a little bit. But sometimes you just call them up and they'll tell you.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like their religion is not really clear. I'm going to put culture in. Culture news. And let's see if we get a beat person here. Okay. Matthew Palm. Let's see if he's a staff writer. So tonight we're trying to do, we were, in there before next, the next meeting, if everyone has like 5 contacts, media contacts of it, it's going to take an hour to find them, put
Right.
an hour aside or something like that, unless you're faster than us. We're not that fast, necessarily.
So
And that's who you'll send your release to.
right. So then you have your Excel spreadsheet that you can create, and like we showed, right? It's going to have the name and the contact person, the name of the paper, the name of the person, and their phone number and email. Right. That's basically what we need.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I think I found somebody. I'm just double checking. I found him here. Okay. What I usually do is the biggest paper, biggest TV, and maybe radio. Shoot for them, that's 3. Then 2 others that you know about or have, some idea what they do.
I just
Shoot for
Googled
those.
Orlando Sentinel religion writer,
Mm-hmm.
another way into the data.
Mhm.
And I came up with Susan Jacobson as a general assignment reporter, blah, blah, blah. She writes about topics including demographics, religion, elder affairs, agriculture, health and fitness, etc.
I think it's old though, because when you search her name on their staff list, she doesn't pull up.
Really, because that's what comes up number 1 on the thing. Interesting.
I
Okay.
see. It says 2014 though.
She's not on this current list. She may have.
It's just so yeah, it's
But that
changing.
proves your
Oh,
earlier point. Even
yeah.
Google doesn't have it.
Yeah.
What
you're
I do usually is I just send it to the chief editor.
Yeah. Editor in
Because
chief, yeah.
editor in chief, because usually the reporters don't really have the
Say.
power to decide what story goes in. It needs
Mhm.
to come from the editor in chief or the assignment editor in case they want to come to the temple and cover the event. So I think a good way to go is to probably send it to the editor in chief.
Yeah, that's easy enough because their contact information is right there.
Yeah.
So we
But,
have
let me ask you on something as big as this. They've got editor in chief listed underneath the general manager.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a little? You don't think that's too high up on the scale that they would be getting all the emails from everybody?
Not for a daily, I think. This is a daily, right? Orlando Sentinel.
Yeah, it's a daily
Yeah.
paper. It's a
Yeah,
That's a daily.
if it's a magazine, like, like Vanity Fair or something, then yes, they are too high up in the rank. But I think for a daily, they still do stuff like this. Like, they'll probably just forward it to someone, or they will have someone looking at their emails.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
looking
Okay.
for content because 100% newspapers they know that people write them about content. It's not at
Yeah.
all weird. They're used to getting faxes back in the day and emails of people saying, hey, this is important events, etc. So
Yeah.
it's not we're not outside of the box. They're looking for it.
So
Yeah.
They need to fill
press
their paper.
releases- right. Press
And also,
releases-
like Prabhu said just now, like calling them and asking them which email we can use to send a press release.
Yeah.
Because this one doesn't have that, but usually they have like news desk
Yeah.
at orlandosentinel.com. So that would also be a good option to call and ask them what's their news release email address.
Yeah. So I got Orlando Sentinel. I just filled it in as if this was what I'm doing. J Anderson, OND. You got it. A phone. It's a directory. So you just ask for them. It's a directory, and it's like, hey, I sent an email to you. You usually follow up right after you send an email. That's how they work. 10 minutes after, like, hey, just sent you an email about we're sending a press release. And they're like, I mean, it's how they used to work. I don't know nowadays with COVID, I don't know, but in theory. Or just, and they may just say, oh, can you send it to the here, is something they may say. Oh yeah, okay, could you send it through to the culture desk or whatever? They may have you do that, or they'll forward it themselves. So it's not a weird request. They're used to people talking and calling.
Yeah. And
Okay, great. So we got one.
it's not that hard. It's not that hard. So you can get one of these, and then you may also want to reach out to, say, Orlando Indian newspapers. Okay. So now, if you want to go for South Asian,
Indian newspapers is a different ball game altogether.
it's true, but they're also fairly responsive. Like right here, there's this thing called Desh Videsh, right? Desh Videsh covers Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. So this is India Magazine, and you go to contact us, tell them we're having Gaura Purnima, right? Email info. Just send them this press release. You can send it to info, and then you call them. Hey, I sent you the press release. What do you think? Did you get it? We'll be able to put it up there. And another thing in some of these papers is events. Now, a lot of the smaller papers let you advertise your event for free. Advertise means you just put an announcement on it. So that's a great way. Like when we have our programs here, we have like 4 local participating papers. We just put all our events there. It doesn't cost a penny, And so there's that. And so you can advertise your event, and also definitely you want to get your press release through to them in time that they can put it in there. So
I mean, Indian papers, generally speaking, are just like free advertising. They can be that way, and there's no harm in making connections with them. They're very transactional. They'll be clear about it up front sometimes, like, well, if you do this, I want this, or something, if at all. So.
Yeah. A lot of times they'll get heavy and, hey, we'll advertise it. Why don't you buy a half-paged ad and stuff like that. And sometimes they do that. I've had that experience. They keep bugging you, but that's all right. They publish our whole 2-page spread for us for free, so in full color.
Yeah. So I'm continuing with this. I'm just trying to copy some of this down for Prihat, so he has something to start with, because next time we meet, we're going to want everyone to have something here. So I have 2 here. We can leave it at 2, and then we can move on, because then you can do 3 yourself. Or maybe we just do one more example, like in a TV station.
Sure.
It's been a while since I've done this as well, because last time I did this was in London.
Paul, if you look before, okay, on that page, you're just looking at the Orlando Weekly. It said right on the top, have a story idea, pitch it here. So sometimes to make it really, see there on the top, have a story. So sometimes it's very easy to find the person you want to talk to. Sometimes it's a little more difficult, but either way, you're trying to find somebody there that covers the kind of stuff that we do, religion and culture.
Yeah. So
phone numbers there, everything. They're looking for this stuff. They also try to make it easy as possible to suck in new content from the world, right?
And I think we're doing this all together, because I think otherwise it's daunting. You think, oh my gosh, do I not get how this works? The truth is, every paper everywhere is so specialized that you just hit or miss, just go for it. Okay, sorry, where was the Orlando Weekly one? Got a story idea? Where was that?
That was on Orlando Weekly right here.
Yeah, I didn't get the link. I don't know where it went.
Right here.
Where was it? On what page is that?
Yeah, do you see it?
On Contact Us? Or about us?
Go to Contact Us, or right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, and then maybe a TV station. Let's look at that and see if we can figure out for Orlando where you might.
ESH and WFTV. So there's that. Okay, so then this is a big one though. This is but you never know. Okay, this is NBC Peacock, and you never know, they might be interested in.
Well, that's where Matura got Fox. I mean, Fox in the middle of Pennsylvania is big.
Yeah, and this is not Fox News. This is like local Fox affiliates, which is nothing to do with Fox News. It's just.
No, but I mean, she got the local Fox News affiliate.
That's the thing. Fox News affiliates are much better. You don't want to get Fox News. You want to get Fox News.
Well, they're not going to pay attention to anything local for sure.
Yeah, it's all local. All local news is the best way to go. All right. So then you go here. Let's see if you can find contact people. So there's contact. All right, contact. That's their phone number. So best is, if there's no email address very readily available, you can just phone these people, but there's also email the news department. So you probably want to go into here. There's the staff. See if you can send a press release, and if you can call them, if you want to invite them to, say you're celebrating it this year. If not, that's fine too. But if you're celebrating it, you can invite them.
Okay. So we got a Fox News. Do you just want to share it in the chat? Sorry, that link, because I can't. have two windows open. It's not really showing. I'm just trying to make sure I capture this for him. I'll capture it for everyone, and that way, there's no wasted research right now.
Yeah. So this is NBC.
Okay.
NBC affiliate.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then another one is radio. Okay, radio is big. We did a lot of radio work here locally, and so Orlando radio. That's if you want to advertise, and a lot of the times they'll advertise for free. The radio station. Now, I don't know whether radio stations for press releases will work. We don't really send press releases at radio stations typically, do we, Kumari?
No, can do. I mean, they're going to promote the event, and obviously, for example, Orlando, you're going to want to promote your center there. What are you guys doing? That's the end of so you lead them with, hey, we're having this event, but we're also telling you about what we do here, what we are, we're new, we're this, we're that. So if you send it to them, they may highlight one or the other based on the value that they think it has.
Paul, I would just say, I mean, when you get into radio, it's good to do a little bit of research. Like if there's a rock and roll station that plays 24-hour rock and never does news, you're wasting our time to look into it.
Right.
But there would be local stations that particularly cover local news, and just like the paper or TV or anybody else, they're interested in knowing what's happening in the local area.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing I would probably suggest, if you don't have much time, everybody just getting started, because this is something you build on. Maybe you get 5 places for this release, and then you get another 5 or 10 or whatever. I would probably not put radio on the top of your list unless you know somebody you listen to every day or whenever, and that they love to cover local news.
So in Gainesville, I'm sure you were familiar with the local UF or the NPR station was very heavily active, and Christian House, I think, got some radio coverage or had connection there.
I've had a lot of success with Indian radio stations. They're so excited to interview you. They gave me a whole hour interview a couple of years ago for our Holi festival. A whole hour. I mean, they just asked me about ISKCON and everything, because they're always looking for Indian content or Indian-related content to excite people about and talk about our events.
So let's look for Indian radio in Orlando.
That's what I've done over here. There's one called.
Oh, sorry, I'm not even looking what you're doing. Sorry.
So this one called Garam Chai, right?
Oh.
I think it was this one. These are the guys who might have interviewed me. Actually, this is the same guys who interviewed me for my New Jersey one, possibly.
There's a Hindi radio station in Florida.
Yeah. There's a lot of these radio stations, and they're very excited if they find a non-Indian like Brad Mridanga.
Yes.
Coming in and talking about.
They're very excited.
They really get excited, and they'll interview like anything. So this is, as far as radio goes, I would give these guys first priority, the Indian radio channels.
Okay, so do we have a contact there for Garam Chai?
If you go to Florida, and they have someone in Orlando, we know the Vasudeva right here. That's the radio station, and there's an email and everything. So right there you go. All
Perfect.
Right.
Put that in the link for me. And if there's a phone also. Great. I mean, learning so much about Orlando right now.
We did a lot of
potential, huh?
Yeah.
So much potential for you. Even if you just reach these 5, who knows what could happen.
So this is
sorry.
No, sorry. I just want to kind of wrap up because we're running out of time.
Yeah. Yes.
You should leave some time for questions, because you guys went over a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can do questions for like 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll have to call it a night. So any other questions, discussions, comments, any other suggestions how we can add more to this?
Yeah, I was wondering, what are our motives? What do we want to get out of all of this? Of course, we can promote our events and but I want to hear more about the theory.
Yeah. I mean, why don't you give us what is a motive you think we could get? Throw it back on you.
I mean, it's inspiring just to think about more people knowing about who we are, just recognizing that we exist, because this is extraordinary. This philosophy is unheard of elsewhere.
Yeah.
So why should more people not hear about this? And then who knows? Those who are sincere will recognize it
Right.
as very elevated philosophy. I don't know. This is what inspires me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, books, for
Awareness.
example, right? Books are media. It's just that we print them
Mm.
ourselves, distribute it. And, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur called it, I don't know, what do you call it? The printing press?
Brihat.
Right? Brihat Mridanga, that's what he called it. This is really an extension of Brihat Mridanga, where you do a little bit of work and the big Mridanga is heard around Orlando. And
It's extension of the books. That's a nice
extension of
analogy.
maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're doing a press release to give them a little snippet of some of that philosophy. Books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's a nice way to see it for him with his namesake. Look at that.
Yeah.
Good one, guys. Okay, another motive is obviously awareness. Yeah, awareness of us, what we're doing at your local centers. With some of us, it's more national awareness things, but so local center, what you guys are doing. With Gorpani, maybe it feels like, well, we're not really doing anything. That's fine. Push some of the other things at the bottom of it. We'll get there. You say, hey, we have sustainability initiatives. We're doing this. Maybe you're doing the food relief still. I know that was something that Rolando was doing. So tell them about those things. So it's good press. Good press is, what's a motive? Good press. That's a huge motive. People thinking of you fondly or positively can go do wonders for devotees coming to the temple, devotees in the temple. It affects everybody. It's really, what is the word we use? It's laying the foundation, sowing, so we can sow the seeds.
The
so
ground.
we're laying, yes. So that's what we do. That's what communications do. We make people think of us fondly as much as we can, so that when those devotees come, they're like, hey, I heard them on the radio, or someone told them about this, or George Harrison, perfect analogy, that connection back in the day. My mom became a devotee because of George Harrison, she says. That's what the Beatles, she says. So there's really a lot of power to awareness and the positivity around us.
Sham Mohin, you want to share something?
Yes, please. Sorry.
As Anuttama Prabhu started, this is a platform where we can turn from misinformed to well-informed.
Yes, it's a platform to go from misinformed to well-informed. And another motivation that we may not think about, but is very powerful, is building relationships with the media people. It's like giving free donuts to the cops. You just give. You don't need anything from them today.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the night when you need their help, hey, I'm gonna go to that guy's house. He's given me donuts for the last 5 years. I'm going to drop everything and give him my full attention. So now we've built a relationship with these media people in a personal way. This fellow, Manoranjan, he's interviewed me 3 times the last 3 years, and he knows me as a friend now. He was very happy to meet me. He ate wonderful prasadam every time he came. And now if all of a sudden our temple gets vandalized and we need somebody to cover that story, well, these guys will be the first ones to come and cover it. Hey, they'll give you their empathy. They'll write the best possible, whatever. When we need, because there might be a time when we'll need their help too. And so when we build relationships, it's a very powerful thing. And these people also have contacts with politicians. And if we have good relationship with media and politicians recognize that and they see articles about it, they'll think twice before shutting down our temple for minor, whatever rule breakage in the township ordinance. They'll think twice. They'll work with us because they'll see that we're in touch with the media. We're engaged in the world. So they can't just, boss us around. They'll take us seriously. So from certain other angles too, it adds to our power. It's not that we want to be powerful for the sake of being powerful, but it's always good to have that.
Yeah.
I can just
anyone? Yeah.
make
Sorry,
a comment.
please.
In Vancouver, we've developed very good relationships with the politicians. And you can use a politician, they come for an event, and you can market the event by who's attending. And you can use that angle with the media, because that'll be a big draw for the media to want to come as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had our mayor come to all our major events, and then first I invite the mayor. When he confirms, then I call the media people.
Uh-huh.
Hey, by
Yeah,
the way,
automatically they
They
tend to
don't
cover, if you invite the VVIPs, they
They don't
automatically
commit.
cover the event.
They don't commit until because they don't want a lot of media attention, but they want to address the community.
Yeah.
They don't acknowledge they're actually coming. But in Vancouver, we have the leader of the NDP is in our riding. He comes to our events, as well as our mayor regularly for our Janmashtami, and our MLA, member of the legislature, who's elected, comes, and member of parliament comes. So we've developed good relationships with the politicians, but we could certainly use a lot of more expert direction on how to get in tight with the media, and I picked up a few good points there.
thank you, Jai Govind Prabhu. That's media and the politicians. Those
Great
two,
points.
good relationship with them. We're in very good shape for.
And it builds
It's a
on
good
each other,
mix,
right?
actually. It's a good
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah, but
even in
Dr.
Milton,
one-
we've
one-
been
one thing-
inviting the MPs and MPPs.
So Jai, we can't hear you so well. The
Sorry,
mic-
we don't hear you clearly. Sorry.
No, even in Milton, in the last Janmashtami and other festivals, we've been inviting MPPs and the mayor. Of course, they're all very well known. And this year, before Christmas, we distributed Bhagavad Gita to MP, and the mayor also, personally handed over.
Mhm.
So we have good connection. We've been inviting them, and automatically the local media, they tend to cover when all these people are there in the festivals. And the only thing is we have to project it not just as a religious event, maybe as a community festival and cultural events. You know, the presentation, it has to be presented in a manner which they also accept. But it's purely, if we just present it as a religious event, I mean, they tend to be a bit iffy about it. I mean, so they prefer to participate in the community events. If we call it a festival and community involving all the community members, they are happy to come forward.
Yeah, that's definitely a touchy point in some places in the world, is religious versus spiritual and cultural events. So that's something you kind of have to learn for your area, what's the best fit. So we did our exercise. Sorry.
One thing before you close up, that for everybody thinking about where we want to get to is not just that it, you know, one, that the media hears about us, two, they do a story once in a while, three, a politician comes to visit us. Those are all extremely important steps. The next step we want to get to is that governor, that mayor, that MLP knows you people are helping me solve my problems. That's when we get to the point when they want to know, and we're offering them, how can we help you address your problems in this town, in the city, in the province, like that. So, you know, we need to be thinking in terms of those terms. I mean, it's down the road a little bit, but you know, when they think you're important and you got a bunch of voters there, they're happy to show up. But when we're really getting some places, when they start asking is, can you please be on the mayor's commission on homelessness, or on the mayor's commission on hunger? And then we've got a platform to start talking about, well, one of the reasons people are hungry is because they're eating junk. So why don't we talk about how to, you know, you can't start off with saying, well, we got to teach everybody to offer their food to Krishna. We have this, you know, gradually, step by step. And again, we're looking kind of long term there, but that should be something that we should be thinking about more and more. But it begins with, as being discussed here tonight, at least we make the contact, they see what our value is. And understand one other thing, keep in mind that they may show up. So Priya Madanga Prabhu, as an example, if you don't have a ladies' restroom that you would bring your mother to use, paint it immediately before you send your press release out. Because one of the worst things is sometimes they do show up and then suddenly you realize, oh my God, they're coming. What are we going to do? So, you know, you got to make your presentation reasonable, you know, train the devotees to put their shoes on the shoe racks and, you know, a few things like that. No gumptious hanging on the clothesline in front of the building. That helps a lot too. Okay.
Yeah, and realistically, you probably can't train them to do all that because it's habits and people don't train. But you can run around the hour before and clean it all like most of us do. That's the truth. And organize and tidy right before, because changing people's habits it's almost impossible. But just to be aware that you become that person, like, okay, now I'm the face of this, and let me make sure everything's good. So.
But by the second or third time, when they realize that their gumptious in the dumpster because you had to quickly dispose of it, that's how you train them. They start realizing, oh, he's not just stealing our gumptious. There's a reason behind this all.
Yeah, definitely all part of it. So maybe we'll go into a little bit of that in the next session when we do our press release together. If we get through it, we could talk through some of those fun tips and tricks when you actually have to speak or meet with someone. And this is always learning. So we're doing one session of this, and then in a few months we might go over it again in a new way. So it's every experience is a little bit different and builds on itself. So we can do that.
So what's
I think
homework again? What's the homework?
Oh, I was letting them answer. Sorry, like in class. What's your homework? Okay. We're doing five contacts. Ruhan Radunga, I'm going to send you this. You already have
Thank
5.
you.
So you can add to that if you have time, finish it off this evening. I'm that kind of person, get my homework done that night, or you want to do it before the next call is next month. So right before the next call, even whatever works, everyone, because next call is the 17th again, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Of March, and then Gorpurnima is the week following. So we're going to do the press release together, and people are going to be sending it out. We're throwing you in. You're going to do it, and we're going to see what happins. Sometimes you might get a call.
Exactly 2 weeks before Gorpurnima.
Yeah.
Gorpurnima is like 11 days. So Gorpurnima is March 28th, so towards last days of March. So this is good timing, and I think it'll be really exciting to see what we can accomplish. So thank you all very much for joining this evening, and we will see you all next time. But definitely do continue joining us, and do remain in touch on our WhatsApp group. If you have any questions, comments, if you discover anything, if you have any suggestions, please let's keep the WhatsApp group alive. This way, I think I'll write a little bit on the WhatsApp group what we covered today. I'll share this video. I'll put it up on YouTube so those who missed it can watch it, and then we'll take it from there. All right?
Yeah, please feel free to give some comments on where you want to. We're just doing training sessions. We're just sharing good practices. That's what we're doing. I learn from everyone on this call every time we're here. It's not that except Anutu, anyone's expert here and can't learn. So that's what these calls are. So please share if you have any ideas of what you want to see. Yeah. Okay, that's it from me.
I will.
Thank you all. Nice to see you all. Good night.
Hare Krishna.